I'm gonna go ahead and knock this one out before I go to bed. I feel like I've been having to calm down to do this one because I feel like I'm just realizing that I got gaslit because somebody commented something very interesting on one of my videos and now it's stuck in my head and I can't get it out, and it has to do with this whole marvelous propaganda thing. Now let me say that, first of all, let me start out by saying that it is very, very healthy to criticize the relationship between Hollywood and the government, and that when military is portrayed in movies, the government does have some clauses and stuff in their contract saying that you can't depict the government in a certain way, blah, 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 blah. Now, that being said, having worked in government contracting, a lot of those contracts are written very poorly, and there are ways around that. But that's not what this fucking video is about. I didn't know why it was bothering me so much right now, because it was particularly strong right now during Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I was like, why is this bothering me so much? Especially because, first of all, props to the people that have been making this argument for the longest time and not just recently. I still think you're fucking wrong, but again, that's for another time and another video. But I'm like, why are they making this so strong? And I felt gaslit, as if I'm being duped or something. And these are people making the argument in a way that's like, if you like Marvel, then you're a fucking simp and you're stupid. And they're just very anti-establishment, anti-government. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, am I a fucking simp? Am I stupid? Am I crazy? I even asked my husband, I'm like, am I crazy for being so passionate about Marvel comics, about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, about these stories, about these themes, especially when a lot of them have saved my life in many ways, including giving me the strength to get out of the military, which is one of the reasons why I'm like, I don't think you know what you're talking about when you say propaganda. Look up the dictionary definition. But I'm like, what? But I think part of it was like, why now? Why now? And somebody said, is it just me? Or was it just now that they started doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is a show highlighting race and the abhorrent treatment of veterans in this country, that all of a sudden the prevailing, topic about, one of the prevailing topics about this show is that it's just nothing but military propaganda. Almost like that is being used to diminish what the show is actually fucking about, which is racism, military worship, and veteran treatment, which are all, by the way, very anti-government, anti-establishment messages. So that doesn't fucking add up. And I was like, that is actually very fucking interesting. That is very interesting, this timing. And apparently it happened also with Captain Marvel, also conveniently, which I'll even give it. Captain Marvel could be definitely considered propaganda because of how fucking heavily the Air Force had its dick in the marketing, and it was really fucking annoying. But again, but that also came with nuance, and I feel that that can have another video. And I wasn't very active on social media back then because I was still in the military, and I could not talk to y'all motherfuckers like this at all, and I was just trying not to dissociate and have panic attacks every day. But apparently that came up again during Captain Marvel. Now, Captain Marvel wasn't the best movie out of the MCU, but apparently it was the misogynist crowd again who started to detract it away from, female representation and whatever, to it like this is just military propaganda. Silent during Captain America, the First Avenger. Silent during literally every other fucking Marvel movie that has depicted military. And by the way, the mere presence of military members and equipment on screen does not automatically make it propaganda. Again, look it up in Webster's dictionary, the definition. But now I'm like, wow, either intentionally or unintentionally, I think that's one of the things that was pissing me off the most about this, is that it's being used to detract from some actual real fucking world shit that they are talking about in this show, and it's important. This is important shit. It affects real people. A whole bunch of people are saying, like, we feel seen by this. Listen to what they're saying. But there's a whole bunch of fucking self-righteous assholes out here saying, like, It's nothing but military propaganda. But whatever, you go ahead and be stupid and you go ahead and enjoy this. Like, just making us feel bad. Just gaslighting, gaslighting, gaslighting. And now I realize why I felt so fucking mad about it. And I wonder where it originated. I wonder if it's fucking like far right assholes who don't like the message of this show and have started a new conversation to try and detract from what they're talking about, because the show is actually calling out the government, you guys, and so it kind of goes contra to the entire definition of propaganda, by the way. And also I think that it's also very far left, self-righteous, woke ass motherfuckers that want to feel holier than thou and are so deep rooted in their fucking very one-sided, very privileged mindset of just disdain for establishment and capitalism that takes precedence over the actual real world issues that they are talking about in the show that impact real people. But your desperation to voice your hate for establishment, capitalism, and government is overshadowing the very real issues that this show is addressing, that many of these movies have addressed in the past, and it seems to be happening over and over again. And that is what pisses me off. We will never be able to escape capitalism and establishment, guys. Okay? Nothing is perfect. Hollywood, the government, everything is all intertwined. But regardless, do not lose sight of the fact that even though that is true, there are real people in these institutions. There are real people writing these shows. There are real people putting these mediums together to get some real points across because they need to be brought to the public, and they are. And if you're so focused on being self-righteous, you will miss the fucking forest from the trees, and you will detract from what is really important here. And the whole and then, and another one of the gaslighting arguments is like, well, the best propaganda is propaganda that you can't tell is propaganda. I'm like, okay, you can only use that so far, because again, this will take a whole nother video. But by the definition of propaganda, it must have a very pointed political goal and message. So my question to those people is, please point me in the direction of the very specific political message in favor of the military that this show in particular right now, that this show is trying to steer the audience towards. Show me. In this show in which they took the shield from a black man, gave it to a white man, showed preference of a white man over a black man, in which this dude is turning into a complete asshole, in which they are showing how shitty veterans are treated and just thrown away after this country uses them. After a whole bunch of veterans, especially black veterans, are speaking up and saying, hey, look at this, man. This is what we go through. This is some real shit. How the government treats us like shit. Please point me towards the political statement in favor of the military that all this is supposed to be pointing to. And why is it now? Again, now that we're talking about race, we're dealing with veterans, stuff that's very uncomfortable to talk about. Why is this the prevailing argument? Whether you intend it or not, get the fuck off your high horse. The timing of all this is very, very interesting. Yes, nothing is perfect. It's very fun to hate the government. It's very fun to hate and to be anti-establishment. I fucking get it. I hate the government too. They've screwed me over too. But you know what? When you are so fucking high and mighty and self-righteous, you can very much detract from some very important shit that's going on, and that's exactly what's happening. And that is one of the reasons why I think I'm so pissed about this. And like I said, this is going to take another video to delve deeper into this, but the fact that this argument is prevailing right now, and the fact that it happened apparently during Captain Marvel, when it was centered around a female superhero, however you felt about the movie itself, the fact that it was centered around a female superhero, the fact that this show is talking a lot about racism, and it's centered around a black man. Someone put it very well in another comment. It's like, it's another form of whataboutism. Excuse me. Whataboutism. It's so frustrating. And like I said, I feel like I've been had, and I feel like I've been kind of gaslit, because I've been asking myself questions. I'm like, am I crazy? Like should I not be a Marvel fan because of this? And I'm like, and of course, like I said, it's healthy to question these things. It's always be questioning. But people are getting to the point of like, you're trash if you are still a fan of this shit. And I searched, guys. Here's the thing. I watched these movies. I'm searching. I've been searching my mind for days. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find the propaganda. I'm trying to find it, especially in this show. I was trying to find it. In this show that was triggering me and making me cry, because it was reminding me of how shitty the government treated me in active duty and treats me as a veteran, as a black veteran, as I'm going through these emotions. At the same time, I am literally trying to prove myself wrong, gaslighting my own self, and that pisses me off. It pisses me off. No medium is perfect, guys. No medium is perfect. But don't let your self-righteousness get in the way. Don't let your self-righteousness overshadow actual problems, the actual message that affects actual people, instead of your hypothetical hate over hypothetical ideals and systems and whatnot. Because guess what? Yo woke ass is actually doing more harm than good. God. Yeah. This is what happens when you take your fucking wokeness too far. And it actually starts to negatively impact people. Just food for thought. Just interesting timing. Very interesting.